Nikki from Facebook has a question for us.
How do you maintain a minimalist lifestyle when it turns from months into years? What tools do you use to not spend or purchase when the temptation to fill a void eventually creeps back up again?
I want you to understand something right away. The void that you are experiencing right now cannot be filled because it is not a void. It's open space. When Ryan and I lived in Montana, we didn't go up to Glacier National Park and say, look at this void. Can we get some condos in here immediately? Of course not. There was beautiful open space. And instead of saying, how do we fill this void? We say, what do we do with this open space? The void you're experiencing right now has been propagated by corporations, marketers, advertisers to make you feel inadequate or incomplete, to make you think the open space that you have, the freedom that you have is wrong. It is not wrong. Now, that said, I have something practical for you as well. Ryan and I have the 30-30 rule that we came up with. We also call it the wait for it rule. If you want to buy something, here's my rule in my own life. If it costs $30 or more, I'm going to wait 30 hours to buy it. Why is that? Well, I can afford to buy a $30 thing, right? But quite often, if I give myself enough distance between the impulse and the purchase, well, I don't make the impulse purchase ever because it's now an informed purchase. It's never an impulse purchase. I never impulse purchase anymore if I wait 30 hours to buy the thing. If I still feel compelled to buy it, if I still think it will add value, I've still contemplated it over those 30 hours, if I waited a day basically, then I will still buy it. But no longer am I driven by impulse. I'm driven by necessity, by value. Yeah. And that's what purchasing things is all about. Will this enhance my life? Will it augment my life? Will it amplify my life? Will it magnify this aspect of my life? If so, wonderful. Let's bring it in. By the way, if it costs more than $100, I try to wait 30 days. Now, that doesn't always work, but what I'll tell you is that it's enabled me to forget about so many potential impulse purchases. I'll even put it in my cart and I wait till the next day. I say, why the hell is this still in my cart? Just go in there and delete it and move on.
Yeah. For me, temptation is an attractive opportunity to meet a healthy need in an unhealthy way. And when you're struggling with some kind of temptation, it's so important to not condemn yourself for having the need or for feeling tempted to do things that might fulfill that need. That's a natural, normal, healthy thing. The problem, however, is these temptations are in some ways a compromise on our dignity, or they are self-destructive, or they compromise long-term priorities that we might have. And so we find ourselves being attached or addicted to these things that don't serve us. And when we condemn the need and say, oh, I'm so bad for even having that temptation. I'm so bad for wanting to be loved, wanting to be seen, wanting to have company, wanting to be appreciated. And then you try to suppress the temptation or you try to not do the thing that's unhealthy. What happens is you can turn away from it for a while, but then the reality of that need crops back up. And then you say, oh, but I got to suppress the need. I can't do it. And then you give back into the temptation. And there's just this unhealthy cycle of beating yourself up and suppressing your desires and trying to exercise discipline to not do this darn thing. And what you have to do is step back and say, what legitimate healthy need is this temptation fulfilling for me? And what does a healthy approach to meeting that need look like? And then it ceases to be this winless game of stop doing that unhealthy thing. And it becomes this life-giving process of I'm going to start doing this healthy, robust, life-giving thing. And even though it's going to be hard as heck at first to rewire my brain and restructure my habits, after a while, I'm going to be so glad I started this new routine. I'm going to be so glad I broke free from those old addictions, because when I do it the healthy way, it's going to feel so much better, and it's going to keep me free from all of those other energies in my life that were eating away at my peace and my happiness, my joy, my relationships, and so on.
Man, I feel like you just relieved a bunch of people of guilt from the desires that they have. I love what you said. Like, it's a healthy desire. Yeah. It's just dealing with it in an unhealthy way. That's powerful, man. What was the question again? Oh yeah, temptation. I just used a 30 day rule the other day. Like a few days ago, I was on a hike with Beulah and Alex and their friend Seth. Mariah and I were, and Beulah had this like phone case. I was like, I've never looked at a phone case and been like, oh wow, that's like very aesthetically pleasing. And she told me what it was, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get that. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna wait a little bit, and I did. I ended up getting it, but I did so intentionally. It wasn't like this impulse. And it was even more tempting because it was on sale. It was like, Cyber Monday. I don't know what it was, but it was some kind of, holiday special type thing. So it made it even more justifiable when I went to like look at it. But yeah, I mean, these rules it creates a little bit of friction, enough friction to help you make more deliberate decisions. The one thing I want to say about the void though is, so for me, there's a little bit of a void that I feel. And what I've learned to do is kind of make friends with it. Like that void is there to motivate me, to inspire me, to guide me in a way. That's kind of how I look at it. And I love what you talk about as viewing it as open space, Josh.
That's how you make friends with it.
That's how you make friends with it. Yeah, it's one way you can do that.
Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalist Private Podcast, available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.